Side as well, the classifications by class coming through. Now your top 5 runners. So those top 3 really have worked very, very well together so far, and have pulled out about a 25-second lead over the rest of the pro class. So that's the 420 in 4th place. That's the MS Lucas Racing team. I didn't quite catch it was in 5th, but I'm guessing it's going to be the 770 offline 1 team.
Having a really nice toy by producer Luke.
Ooh, what have you got there?
This, look at this. So, you have your results on the left-hand side of the screen. Please select this. Ooh, no,
oh dear, someone's giving him control of the screen. This is a bad idea.
So, there we go. There's our top 5 in the pro class. And if I do that.
And our first
There's
black
London.
flag of the day, unfortunately, has come through, and I think I saw that was for the number 22 Sporting Force and Mission Motorsport team. So we're not quite sure what it's for, but they will be coming into the pits, and in fact I think I can just hear them coming into the pits now, because it's too early. It's far too early for a regular pit stop. But karts filing through this very quick chicane. Personally, one of my favourite parts of the track, because it's one we really can attack, and then hard on the brakes into that left-hand hairpin that you can just see in the top right-hand corner of the screen, the entrance to that corner. Good overtaking opportunity through this part of the circuit. Almost half an hour gone then of the 2017 British 24 hours here at Teesside Autodrome. Andrew Mather and Howard Mitchell here with you in the commentary box from ARM Motorsport Media. The whole production brilliantly pulled together by Alpha Live. Your leader still the number 443 MS Soco Select, our pole sitters. Lead has passed back and forth a couple of times with the Q Racing efforts, the 330 that started 4th on the grid, and joining them in that top 3, now 2nd overall, so they've got past the Q Racing team as well, is the 211 of MSJSR, so another one of the cars run by Howard Lucas. Good to see your comments coming in. Do keep them coming in on the Facebook stream. Lots of support for the different teams, and particularly if you know who's out there at the moment for the different teams. Some of them have sent details for the different drivers. So I know at the moment our leaders, I think they're still the leaders in the higher class. The number 48 Brawn Cocktails. I spoke to him briefly on the grid. But it's Luke Walker at the wheel of that one at the moment. Experienced driver in 2-stroke racing. So we'll feed you more of that information, but obviously if we get even more information, we'll give you a shout out as well. I can see Monica Cox saying go Swindon Karting Arena. I'm just trying to find where they are at the moment on the timing. The number 67. Don't think they're quite in the top 25 at the moment, but it's still going around there.
I want to talk about distance, Andrew.
Yeah.
I think it's good to get a sense of scale of what these karts are going to attempt to achieve. These various teams and drivers are going to attempt to achieve over the next 24 hours, or 23 and a half hours to be precise now. So, pending any stoppages due to incidents or weather, or indeed just slower pace as a result of weather, we would ordinarily expect the likes of the higher kart class to do over 1,000 laps of this 2.1 kilometre circuit, and the owner kart classes, the pros, clubmans and rookies, to do even more than that. So there, I don't know how much as a percentage are they faster. I suppose we're looking at 75-second lap versus a 70-second lap. So between 5 and 10% quicker. So they're going to do the equivalent number of laps there, but it's going to be easily 2,200 kilometres if everything runs steady for the higher kart class, and then even more for the owner karts with the faster pace, which is between 13 and 1,400 miles. So about 1,300 miles for the higher karts and 1,500 miles for the owner kart classes. So I just would like to mention those numbers because it gives people a sense of perspective of what these karts. Don't make the mistake for a moment of thinking, oh, these are just karts. They're not doing anything near what you'd see in car endurance racing, because it's not so. These karts are trying to go the distance in the hands of these drivers, and that's why it's so critical to try and save the kart. Save the tyres, be kind to the kart. You know, if there's a harsh curb somewhere around the circuit, avoid it. Save the kart. And that's why we're going to talk about conserving energy of the driver, conserving the tyres, conserving, holding back when it's sensible to do so, only going for the move when it's the right time. As the leaders come through shot, 211 of MS JSR. Actually, if I recorded that, I don't think that's a change for the lead.
No, that's another change.
It is another change for the lead, indeed.
But it is this top three. I think they're quite happy at the moment to trade the lead back and forth because they're continuing to work well together.
Absolutely. The sentiment that was being, some teams showed on the grid, expressed on the grid to you, Andrew, that it's all about the last 4 hours here, and you often hear about people talking about endurance races like the Le Mans 24 hours as it's a 20-hour qualifying session followed by a 4-hour race. Things like that, words to that effect, you often hear in this style of racing. It's not all one now, so it's about being patient, but also keeping the pace up. And that's the balancing act, of course. The other side of it is you have to keep psychologically alert throughout your stint. These drivers are going to be attempting 90-minute stints easily, perhaps more than that. And perhaps they'll be double stinting as we've got a large amount of traffic coming down the back straight we just saw there in shot. Kudos to all the guys out there of the Alpha Live team who are manning these cameras, giving you these shots. That wasn't the time to put your hand in the camera. That was an unfortunate timing of that one, but they are working really hard to bring us these shots. So many thanks to them.
We did get a shot a few moments ago of the 110 Giant Hornets Racing. They've had a good start to this race. Remember, they qualified in class at least second within the rookie grid behind the number 69 Cosley Cougars, and those two karts have swapped positions. The Cougars falling down the order slightly, and they're now battling over 15th position.
Shall we run down the order then, because we tried to give a sort of mini update. We're hoping to give you a sort of update at the bottom of every hour, and hopefully some material from the paddock and pit lane areas at the top of the hour. So we've passed the bottom of the hour, but I'll be honest with you, my timing screen has just lit up and come back to life here in the box. So to run through the order, in first place overall then at the moment is the 211 MS JSR 111 on-kart team. Currently they've completed 28 laps, and they are 2.5 seconds up, down the road from the second place 330 Q Racing kart.
How big moment there for the leader. 2-on-1 coming through the field, through some of the traffic, but just about got away with it. Carry on.
Ooh, there's someone getting a bit of air off of the curbs there through the slaloms. That is the difficulty if you go through side by side there. You have to, and that's one of the, when I was talking a moment ago about caring for the kart, it won't help the kart's longevity if you go flying over the curbs of the slaloms. They're thought of as the slaloms for a reason. It's important to thread the needle through those carefully. Let's carry on with this rundown of the order. The 443 MS Soco Select team, they are in third place, right on the tail of the Q Racing team, in fact. Then in fourth place is the first of the Clubman class karts. The 115 Team Keen, they're some 25 seconds behind this lead group, so the top three have really done well to break away in this early part of the race. JDR, that team are the 74 kart, they're in 5th place, also a Clubman kart. Team Belgium, the 79 kart, in 6th place, another Clubman kart. And all those Clubmans, that top three in the Clubman's class, they're all quite close together actually, all separated by around about 7 seconds, so quite close together. In fact, the 4th place, the 4th kart in that train actually is a pro class kart, the MS Lucas Racing. They're 7th overall, the 420. 8th overall is Offline 1, they're in the 770. DWS, they are 9th overall in the 58 kart. The 84 Kart Force 2 kart, they're rounding out the top 10, they're a Clubman class kart. And then there, actually, yes, the order's changing amongst them because they're a really close pack, that. So DWS in 9th, 10th is now Offline 2, Kart Force 2 are in 11th, Canterbury College are 12th. And we've got a drama out here on track. This is at the bottom of the hill.
Yeah, spin there for one of the higher karts. We'll try and capture who that was as they come round.
Can be a difficult corner, that, Andrew, because that chicane is quicker than a lot of people think.
Yeah,
I think it's fair to say. This is in the outfield international section of the lap. So after the right-hander that you can now see, they head down to the chicane that you saw in that shot a moment ago, go through that chicane, then up the hill and onto the back straight.
but it's another one about momentum. Sorry, just to make another quick point about that, where you don't want to be attacking too much into that one. There's a driver with his arm up there, maybe a little bit of a problem. But no, if you attack that corner too quickly, and then scrub speed going up the hill, you then, it's same as the hairpin 2 we were mentioning earlier. It's all about your exit speed off that little complex that then carries you all the way down to hairpin 1. And it's very tempting to go barreling into that corner, but then you get all crossed up as you go up that bit of a hill, and the camera doesn't quite show how steep that bit of hill is.
No, it really is steep when you're...
And especially the higher karts,
yeah.
you have to be nice and tidy through there in the higher karts to make sure that you keep that momentum up and get them up the hill.
Absolutely, and you talked about pace down towards hairpin 1, but if someone gets a good run on you, and there is a slipstream effect in these karts, of course, not perhaps as big as it is in car racing, but certainly with these higher karts that you see have these wider Nassau panels on the front, as we call them, you know, people can consider overtaking you into the slaloms, and that's really something you want to avoid, not least because it's someone overtaking you, but also because it's not the nicest place to have to think about going side by side. And when you've got a long stint, you really don't want... You want to avoid dramas. That's the critical thing. You want to avoid dramas. I'll just finish off. Were you going to go on to the high
I
karts,
think
mate?
the spinner was the number 40 Steel City, because they've just had a very slow lap, a 1 minute 40. Never mind, carry on.
I'm going to... Don't worry, I'm not going to go through all 65 people. I was talking about the Canterbury College. They're in 12th place. 13th is Offline 3, the 717, the 64 of Dads and Lads. They are in 14th. Should have actually said, Offline 3, the 717 is the highest placed of the rookie class at the moment, in 13th place overall. Giant Hornets Racing, they're 15th. 16th, Coastal Cougars. 17th are RME. Do we call them REAM? They're the Royal Engineering... they're just called the Royal Engineers on my sheet, but REME, they're 17th. 18th is Blue Speed Racing, 19th is Banshee Racing. And then in 20th place are Brawn Cocktails, the 48 kart. So it was a timing glitch that I saw earlier on. They are currently the leaders of the higher kart class, with Eco Trailer, the 100 kart, they're 21st and 2nd place in the higher kart class. And the Northampton Maidens are pole sitter in the higher karts class. The number 35 there, currently 22nd overall and 3rd place within that class. I think we'll end the run through there, because after that there's just a string of... The higher karts class is by far and away the largest class in the field. So I won't run through all of them, but if you want to keep track of it, if you want to follow a favourite, head over to live.alphatiming.co.uk/Teesside, TEESSIDE, and that will show you timings, penalties, and that driver tracker. As I say, if you want to follow a particular kart, click on the position they currently occupy and you will follow that kart. Highlight it in blue, click it again, you will highlight it in red, click it again, you'll deselect that kart. So if you want to select your favourite kart, do so and follow what's going on around them. Maybe you want to select the enemies around them in red, and I'm getting too creative with that. So I'm enjoying playing. We only...
You like that screen?
I
don't you?
love this screen. I love that tool. It's something that Will Tew of Alpha Time introduced relatively recently, and I think it's a really, really nice feature. Allows people to follow along at home really well.
So, good battle here. This is more of the leaders working their way through the traffic.
This section here at night, Andrew, is going to become one of the darker sections of the track.
Yep.
It is all well lit, perfectly lit well enough to go racing at night, but it is the outer section on the international part of the circuit that is dark compared to the national loop, which is very well floodlit.
Plenty of people still cheering on their favourite karts. Nick Carrington says, "Come on, the 717." That's offline 3. That's the offline kart that's in the rookie class.
I'm going to beam that to screen, Andrew.
Yeah, so, and they're running well at the moment. 13th place overall. And how are they doing in the rookie class, Howard?
Sorry, mate. Give me that number again.
717.
717
13th overall.
They are currently the rookie class leaders.
I thought they might be.
They're currently the rookie class leaders, so definitely going well for them. We've got other support coming in. Have you mentioned this one yet, Andrew?
No, I haven't.
Okay, Jess Morn, Go Ream, who are the Royal Engineers. They're the 1942 kart. I feel that that looks to me like a very purposeful kart number. I wonder if 1942
was that some
Royal Engineers.
I'm going to look that up.
That's probably got some significance. And we're probably doing ourselves
and as engineers, we
should probably know, shouldn't we? We're both qualified engineers. As there is a curb warning for the number 777 offline 2. They're currently running 10th overall and 5th, I believe, within the clubman class. Indeed, they are. So they've got to be careful out there. And if they're getting a curb warning, to be honest with you, Andrew, in this form of racing, I almost feel like a curb warning. Obviously, you don't want to get on the wrong side of the stewards, but actually, if you're having a curb warning, it kind of suggests you're being a bit too harsh to the kart at this early point in the race. So they want to be careful with that, purely from the point of view of keeping their kart alive and well throughout proceedings here. So, I did mention this at the start, but if you've just joined us, how can you tell these karts apart? The easiest way to tell the owner karts apart and the hire karts apart are the hire karts have the bigger, wider Nassau panel, as we call them, the big shield on the front, compared to the more conventional looking nose cone of the owner karts. And then the owner karts are further subdivided into 3 classes: the pro class, the clubman class, and the rookie class. Teams doing this event for the first time. It's a big event, this one, in the endurance racing calendar, not only within Britain, but also within Europe. We have teams like Team Belgium here, who come over to do this race, one presumes. We also have, certainly I know, people who have come a very long way from within the UK to do this. When the sister event, the UKC, is in town at this event, they get, this is the only time in the year when we get international representation within that championship as well. So, when endurance racing comes to Teesside Autodrome, it's big, particularly when it's for 24 hours. Always good. The back straight that we just saw in shot, that's always a good part of the lap. As we said, we're going to the slaloms, which is a thrilling part of the lap in of itself. But the back straight is where you can take a break. It's actually the longest straight of the track. It's just a chance, when you're a good way into the stint, just to, exercise your fingers, make sure you can still feel all your fingers and toes after you've been driving for a while. As this is an interesting gaggle of karts, isn't it?
Yeah, this is second and third coming through some traffic. The 3-3 on the kart with 330 in the entry, Q Racing, and right up behind them is the 443 MS. Just remind me which one of the MS that is. That's the MS SoCo Select. That was our pole sitter, and they are starting to fall behind the 211 now. A 5-second lead now all there or thereabouts for the 2-1-1. I mean, they're out of shots now, in fact. They're that far ahead in terms of seconds. In fact, there they are there, just climbing the hill now, and there's second and third place now coming through your shot. So you can see some brilliant work there from the driver in the 211 MS JSR. Still early stages of this race. A long way to go, of course. But a 5-second lead now for our kart, which started from second on the grid.
We have our answer, Andrew, on the Royal Engineers front.
Well, there you go.
75th birthday for the Corps of Royal Electrical and Mechanical Engineers. We should have known that, mate.
We really
should have known that. But brilliant stuff for them. Good. What a way to celebrate it. I mean, that's a great way of celebrating it. So good for them. Someone also asked a question. Ben Pickett asked this a few moments ago. On the individual team map, there are 3 coloured dots, and I don't know which one is my team. 3 coloured dots, if you're talking about the driver tracker, 3 coloured dots are the first, second and third. Conventionally, if you don't select anybody, you've got the gold, silver and bronze. They're the 3 leaders overall. And then as you click more, you get blue and red highlights for the teams you select. But the first 3 will always be selected in gold, silver or bronze, unless, of course, the kart that you've selected is one of the top 3, in which case, say, if you selected second place, I believe they would turn blue. But you don't need to select them if they're in second place, because they're the silver-coloured one. Hope that helps, Ben. If there's anything more specific, I'm sorry if I have misunderstood that that query, but yes, the top 3 are always highlighted in the colours of the medals they've received.
99 you saw coming into the pits there. I think that's a little bit early, and we have to be very, very careful how to pronounce this one. That's the Norfolk Ing Good team. I'm going to call them Norfolk. Jess Alexander making her way through some of the traffic, or at least trying to. This battle. Whoa! There's a moment there for the 48. In fact, is this for the lead? Is this the class lead? It is for the lead,
isn't it? Because the 48's in there, so that's going to be a change for the lead.
Not quite.
In the high kart class, if...
no, 48's taking it back, but no, I was just about to say...
No, it's not, Andrew. The 100 is now at the head of that field. So the 100 is the one just up... In fact, yes, the one in shot there.
Yep.
That one's the 100.
Helmet.
So the Eco... the Eco Trailer team, the number 100, now go to the head of the higher kart field, with the Braun Cocktails in second and the Northampton Maidens with Jess Alexander at the wheel in 22nd, as you say, Andrew.
Luke Walker still at the wheel of the 48, I'm led to believe as well. But no, this battle in the higher class has pretty much raged from the very start of the race. So 50 minutes in, still very close. I think this is going to serve us up a lot of intrigue through this race. Message from Team Bonato as well, the number 96. They have their own international elements with French pilot Saran Ziffel. Sorry if I've butchered that one, being English and all that. But no, good to see. I was going to say, well, we've got Team Belgium, haven't we?
We do, yeah. We do. So
I think I saw Sam Spinale at the wheel of that one earlier. The Leaning Tower of Hertfordshire. Long story.
Well, look at this though, Andrew. This is still the battle for the high kart class. The 48 has got back onto the tail of the 100 now, and we do talk about holding station and being sensible in this form of racing, but I wouldn't bet much against the 48. And indeed, is that a move up the inside? I think it is. The 48 there has moved to the head of the high kart field again, and Jess Alexander in the 35 has followed them right through. So now it's the 100 from the 35.
Here comes through another one
excuse me, the 48 from the 35 with the 100 in third place in class. Excuse me. And there is one of the leaders coming through, as I believe you were about to say, Andrew. So
yeah, it's the 69.
Sorry, and he got a bit of drifter. The tail of his kart tried to kick out there as he came out the slide. It's an odd place to lose the rear end, but he, I suppose, was coming through a slightly odd line trying to overtake those karts. So yes, the higher kart field, as close as you like, at 52 minutes into the race.
and goes through the, I think that's the Giant Hornets, if we can catch if that is the 110. If it is, that's good, because now we can just recognise it from that very distinctive fluorescent green trimming on the black background.
Have we mentioned the number 99,
Yes,
Andrew?
yes we have. That's the cart I'm going to call Norfolk.
Ah, yes, you did. Sorry. Excuse me. Yeah, so the 99 in the pits at the moment. Dramas for them, unless that's a conventional stop, but that's a very odd time to take a conventional stop, I'd have thought. But as we have said, Andrew, you know, not everybody here necessarily to run the most competitive strategy. Some of them here to find their feet, get used to this form of racing, perhaps. So
Battle
we shouldn't
in
expect them all.
higher, raging on. Back to the front of that one is the Brawn Cocktails team with Luke Walker at the wheel, doing a very, very solid job at the moment. We've got a message coming for Kart 46.
It's the DCU,
It's the DCU karting team run by Shane Patton.
It has.
Giving his best look there.
Does that mean there's an international element to that team as well,
I don't
Andrew?
know.
I'm misreading that. What does DCU stand for? Is that Team Irish?
Joseph Wright says, I'm in that red gazebo.
Oh.
Which one?
Well, there's quite a few, but I just saw a very bright red gazebo.
Oh, there's
that
another
one.
one.
I'm going to think it's that one. That's the most impressive red gazebo. Brilliant scenes here around the track. Awnings forming the pit lane, of course, where everybody's ready to work on the karts as necessary, and also tents all the way around the top end of the circuit. It's brilliant to see.
And I have to say, I mean, this is my first time here at this particular event. I was just astonished of how many people are here this weekend. It's not just the drivers and the teams, but the amount of support staff, families supporting their family members and giving up their time. It's absolutely fantastic to see. Is more battles raging on in higher. I saw the 100, the 100. So that's the
Eco Trailer team.
that's the Eco Trailer, the former leaders of this class, going for a move there.
Yeah, sensible driving, I have to say, from the 41 kart of Kart Force 3. They're not in this fight, but they're in this pack, but not in this fight. And I saw them driving quite sensibly there. They're certainly gave the impression of being aware that this was a battle higher up, that they were a lap down, and gave fair racing room to allow them past. So good driving there from the 41. And who was that just pulling into the pit lane there? Here is the pit lane. So somebody's ready to do a stop.
And notification of more Belgian drivers as well from Sanders Dimitri. Belgian drivers everywhere. 66, 44 and 79.
I could be wrong, Andrew, but I just had a look out the door. Sorry if that got picked up on microphone, but I believe, looking at it at an odd angle, but I believe it's the number 12 that's just pulled into the pit lane, and he's gone straight down into the paddock. That's the BBS BB team. And indeed, they are showing up as in the pits. So I think that kart has had some kind of mechanical issue there. That's the number 12, say again. Jack O'Connell, I've got listed as one of the drivers on that team. I've also got a note saying they've changed their team name, but being as that's how they're coming up on timing, I'm going to keep calling them BBS BB. So dramas for them. This is still the lead battle in higher karts. Now, as we said, the 48 at the head of the field and the 35 who were our pole sitters in this class, the Northampton Maidens. It is an all-female. Is it an all-female team, the Northampton Maidens? I assume so. Usually, they're usually competing, but as in they haven't had extra personnel on for this event who got rid of that title. So yes, they are still an all-female team for this event. Very accomplished set of drivers in that kart, many of whom, as Andrew has alluded to already, we know from the British University's Karting Championship.
I've just realised why I recognise Luke's suit setup. We had a good race together at Wilton Mill a couple of months ago in BUKC Rookies.
Brilliant.
It was the one where I kind of hijacked the race and just an old person joined BUKC Rookies as a University of Life entrant.
Yeah.
Now he's a good driver, and he's doing a very good job at the moment in that 48 kart, working through the traffic with the Northampton Maidens.
In the pits, Andrew. Several karts now. Last minute, the 83 kart has pitted from 31st place. The Royal Engineers in the 1942 kart, they have pitted from there in Clubman class, and so has Blue Speed Racing in the Clubman class as well. So here they are, indeed, in pit lane. There's the 8H1 you can see of Blue Speed Racing, and I think that might have been the Royal Engineers just going through shot there. Harder to tell the karts, the higher karts in the pit lane. They haven't got a number on the back, as the owner karts do.
Question from Tom Jacobs: what are the differing classes of karts? Looks like a great series to get into. So in terms of the machinery, you've got two, as the 22, which is one of the higher karts. That's the Mission Motorsport kart, comes in. You can see them there being weighed, checking that they're legal. So there's two versions of karts, Tom. The first we'll talk about is the higher kart that you can see on the screen in front of us. These are the ones with the big Nassau panels, the Bigfoot as they're called, or nicknamed. So anything that's a higher kart is one of those. And then the other type of kart is, as we keep calling it, kind of the conventional kart with the smaller nose cone section. So they're all the owner karts. So these are karts that have been prepared by the teams themselves, as opposed to the higher karts, which have all been arranged by the BPEC staff. Now, within the owner karts, there's three different classes. So you have Pro, Clubman, and Rookie. The machinery they've got, exactly the same, or exactly the same spec. Obviously, how the karts have been prepared is down to the team, but the equipment, the base equipment, is the same. The class definition, that's more down to experience. I'm going to go with experience, not the T word, because we've still got some very good drivers in the rookie class, but experience of those drivers and teams. To kind of go slightly into another endurance world, almost think of it like the GTE class at Le Mans, in that you have a GTE Pro and a GTE AM, and Howard's looking at me thinking, but they have different year cars in GTE Pro and GTE AM. But for all intents and purposes, don't say anything. They're the same. Their cars run to the same regulations.
Yeah, that's fair. That's fair. I love the way you were able to... We've spent far too long in comms boxes if you're able to read my mind to that level, but that's exactly what I was thinking. But yes, and just to interject there, if you are interested in getting involved in any of these series, the British Pro Kart Endurance Championship, if you're after them, go to www.bpeckarting.co.uk, BPEC Karting. And if you're specifically interested in the 24-hour karting series, which is sort of the headline 24-hour karting events, head to